Currently, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, and Saki Tama, the Prime Minister of Britain, have decided to step up actions taken to stop human trafficking at a... The two leaders got together in Rome to elucidate the reasons of Italy's decline. As migrants traverse the Mediterranean, the two lawmakers have taken up the task of migration as a primary concern. Italy's collaborating with transit is part of the planned nations in North Africa, and sending refugees go to Albania to obtain their petitions for asylum evaluated. Although some of Miss Monroe's actions have been notably well criticized by human rights organizations, Miss Mon disregarded recommendations that it was a violation to send people to Albania. Of their human rights breaches that you're making reference to, frankly speaking, since I have provided a thorough explanation of how the authority over these centers in Albania, its jurisdiction, is European and Italian. So, you either think that European jurisdiction violates human rights of immigrants, or, well, I'm not sure. I believe it's entirely unspeakable what we've done with Albania implies that these immigrants will relish the same rights, that they receive the same attention that they have, for example, in Lampedusa or any other popular location in Italy. But this will take place in a certain region. It is not actually found in Italy. According to Karma, the UK would share information sharing with Italy in an effort to halt individuals from smuggling, and commended Ms. Meloni for her accomplishment. You've accomplished something amazing. Advancement cooperating with nations along migration paths as comparables to deal with the sources of migration's drivers and to combat the gangs, and thus unusual maritime arrivals in Italy are 60% less since 2022. So I'm happy to see that we're getting more our collaboration, in this case LED in the United Kingdom, by our recent Commander for Border Security, who has been here in Italy with me today this AM at the Coordination Center to exchange strategies and intelligence closed, shatter the smuggler routes and gangs. Let's head over to Roman. Journalist Mark Lowe for Southern Europe. Did Mark learn anything new from the press conference we observed at the past few hours due to the notion of returning to the original origins, and the migrant trafficking routes are not a novel notion in and of itself, but we must a significant shift in Italy's population in lately months. Indeed, we didn't have any kind of a significant announcement regarding new in the sense that GA makes more sense, that K-Dharma is closely inspecting what Italy is doing in relation to the agreement these migrant centers that Albania are being constructed to house immigrants, who are taken in worldwide seas. I must admit that it's extremely distinct from, say, a transaction that he referred to as a ruse, that was the Britain-Rwanda Pact that he dismissed upon his assumption of office, but where Britain would have been transferred several asylum seekers to Rwanda, since at that point, under that, according to the arrangement that existed at that time being fired, they probably would have applied in Rwanda for refuge, and Rwanda would have overseen the camps that they were held in accordance with the Italian-Albanian deal. Those are being controlled by Italy. Once they reach Albanian migrant centers open, and migrant applicants will be received sought asylum in Italy, which is the reason Giorgia Meloni was quite honest when she defending those who are defending those migration hubs, which K-Stir is undoubtedly intrigued by those Albanian establishments, must admit that, as far the administration has said clearly that this is an agreement solely with Italy, which is Albania's nearest European ally, and then that they will be the two as well. There will be governments, collaborating more closely with regard to collaborating with police enforcement and intelligence details to attempt to crack the gangs that smuggle goods. Kama was fairly lucid in his commendation for Italy over the agreement, the job that it is performing, according to him, along the coast, with nations where there were migrants who were arriving from Libya and Tunisia. But once more, there has been debate regarding the agreements as well. given that Italy and the EU providing Tunisia with large financial aid. As Tunisia intensifies its crackdown on democracy, has, according to some, the European Parliament's members, amounts to funding autocrats Mart. Thank you so much, Lowen. I've joined. By border security specialist David Subber from Oxford University, I appreciate you being join us as you hear the claims made by Giorgia Meloni, Keir Starmer, and a few more. Among the regulations that they are examining, do you believe those to be the right ones? And will they be successful in reaching what these leaders desire to accomplish? Well, what I perceive as the new Gov Labour sort of following in the footsteps of the predecessors to the outgoing administration, in a sense, contacting Italy as a tactical partner and facilitating migration, quite prominent in this of the two parties relationship nations, where the new prime minister is between, with Italy's prime minister lauding the triumph of Italy. You and the new numbers have decreased by at least 60% since 2023 is a hazardous year because of these, since numbers do change. The pattern that in Italy is being monitored at the right now, it's being reported by the success of the Italian government as victor, flaunting their status, overseeing these connections with countries that border each other on the south, the coast of the Mediterranean, but it's still a little early to say whether these will genuinely endure. What ought to they be examining in your? I think that's a really good question, is how we assess the effectiveness of migration regulations pertaining to migration and management. In generally speaking, if the success having fewer immigrants enter Europe, then these arrangements may be effective in the short term, assisting and funding transit and source nations to maintain the population in those nations prior to traveling to Europe, is the approach that often functions in the brief time frame.